just going to warn you now, I got the longer speech apparently tonight, but it's not that long. So I'm one of Aaron's friends, and on behalf of the bride and groom, I would like to thank and welcome everybody for being here on this special day. I know that it means a lot to them. And then, of course, there are those who couldn't make it here today for one reason or another, and I know that their good thoughts are here today. So before I get into my speech, I'm going to start off with this. Throughout this toast, I will be referring to Aaron as Hargrave because that's how he was introduced to me. That's what I've always called him. That's just how I've always known him, and who might break with tradition. So I've been friends with Hargrave for many years, actually 15. And I remember the first time that I met him. It was in 9th grade during Mrs. Volz's English class. Remember her? Yeah. So at that time, Hargrave was shadowing at Niagara Catholic, RIP, and he was with my good friend here, James Stevens, checking out the school. And I know that I went over at some point to talk to James and say hi to Hargrave, but I don't really remember much of our conversation beyond that. And it wasn't until a few months later that Hargrave joined our class. So we went through high school together. We were friends, and you know, we got into some trouble. We had some good times, but our friendship really just didn't blossom into what it is now until college. And I ended up going to St. Bonaventure University. Any Bonaventure people here? Cool. Yeah. And this was the pre-Facebook era, so I had heard rumor that James was going to Bonas, but I had no confirmation on that. And it wasn't until I showed up that not only was James going there, but he was also living on the same floor as me. So I was happy because he was a friendly face, and you know, made things a little easier. So a few weeks later, we settled into college, and I remember this one Friday afternoon, I get back from class, and I said to my roommate Jake, remember him? Yeah, weirdo. I told James, I said, you know, I'm gonna take a nap, maybe afterwards we'll get some dinner and do something. And just as I'm on like the cusp of sleep, there's this knock at the door. And I just started thinking, oh, you know, well, there goes my nap. It's probably one of James's or Jake's friends, and they're gonna be loud, and well, you know, that's that. But instead, I hear this, hey, how you doing? Is Chris around? And I get up and I look, and sure enough, it's Hargrave, and he's standing there with a big pack of baseball cards and a big bottle of pop in the other hand. And he just says, hey, you doing anything? I'm down here for the weekend, I'm visiting, let's hang out. And you know, it was a really great surprise. So that's what we did. It was simple. Hargrave showed up, he, James, and I hung out that weekend, and the good times ensued. And it's always been like that. And that brings me to the point that I want to stress the most tonight about Hargrave. Because the thing about Hargrave for me is that it's just so easy to be friends with him. It's always a, hey man, you up to anything, you want to hang? It's nothing too complicated. And throughout the remainder of college, Hargrave was a pretty regular visitor. Usually I'd get a little bit more advance notice. And when I was back home, we'd hang out practically every weekend, oftentimes trekking over to Niagara Falls, Ontario to hit Clifton Hill, or just hang out at his place, you know, discuss the important things in life. And just like in high school, we made a lot of memories. Like that time that Hargrave discovered he had a real talent for whittling when we were on a camping trip. Or that time somebody threw a mini potbelly grill over a fence near us where we were standing at a bar, and he sent it back. So, and we had plenty of laughs. But through all that, Hargrave became my best friend. And the truth is, I couldn't find a more loyal friend than him. He has always been there for me. From being the point man at my wedding, to listen to me talk for hours on end about my career aspirations and frustrations, to helping me move into my first home, or just being supportive and understanding as I took my first few steps into fatherhood. And in fact, he's my daughter's godfather, and he's damn good to my little girl. A few months before my wedding, about 7 years ago, Caitlin entered the picture. And I remember I was coming home for this impromptu visit, and I called Hargrave to hang. Naturally, he says yes. And then I had to meet him at the brickyard. And he says, yeah, and I got somebody here with me. And I said, oh, who? James? And he said, no, it's a surprise. I'm thinking, all right, it's probably James. So I go into the restaurant, and I immediately go over to the bar, and I'm looking around, and I can't find him anywhere. I'm not seeing James. And it took me a few minutes, so I head over into the next room. And sure enough, there's Hargrave, and he's with Caitlin, and they're having a quiet late dinner together. And we hung out for a few hours that night and had a great time. And I am fairly certain that I saw in Hargrave and Caitlin what he saw in me and my wife when I first introduced them. So as things started to progress with Caitlin, I did start to wonder, as anybody would when a significant other enters the picture, what's going to happen? How does this change things? And Caitlin, admittedly, I was a little skeptical of you. You know, Hargrave's my buddy. I was just looking out for him. But the thing was, as Caitlin became a bigger part of his life and the relationship developed, nothing changed between Hargrave and I. The door was always open to me at his place, and Caitlin always made me feel welcome as a guest. And it was even open on the day they got engaged, where by all rights I shouldn't have been invited over, but they knew I was having a tough time, tough days, a new father, and just needed a break for a little bit. And anytime I've needed help, Hargrave's always been there, and Caitlin's been always says, how can I help too? Point is that just Hargrave remained Hargrave. And I know that kind of sounds selfish to use their relationship as a measuring stick for my friendship with Hargrave, but that's what I like about Caitlin. She didn't come into his life and try to change him. She accepted him for who he is and not who she wanted him to be. And while we're all a little older now, I do believe that Caitlin did tame Hargrave a little bit and set him straight on a couple things. So, Caitlin, I want you to know I'm really, really glad that you came into Hargrave's life and that you're now his wife. And Hargrave, I want you to know that you're not just my best friend, you're my brother, and I love you. And to the both of you, I cannot find the words to express how happy I am for you. God, I am shaking here. For you and the life that you're going to continue building together. I'm honored to be friends with you, and I'm there for whatever you guys need. So if everybody would, please join me in raising your glasses and toasting Hargrave and Caitlin. Sláinte.